Under the Village of Amerenik's village manager form of government, the mayor's primary duty and power is to act as presiding officer of meetings of the Board of Trustees. The board, directly elected by voters of the village, acts by majority vote. The mayor votes as an equal and has no veto. That's practically a quote. However, the mayor has powers and authorities that supersede those of other members of the board in making appointments for the positions listed below. These are facts. Nomination of clerk treasurer, nomination of the village prosecutor, nomination of the village attorney, nomination of the land use council, nomination of members and chair of the Board of Appeals, nomination and members of the chair of the planning board. Again, facts. This is, so it's a request to the attorney to confirm whether these nominations are at the sole discretion and authority of the mayor. To the extent that it's concluded that they are, we request that you seek the opinion of the New York State Attorney General as to the legal process, if any, available for delegating the authority to make such nominations from the mayor to the full Board of Trustees. Also, please seek the opinion of the New York State Attorney General that former village law 15, Article 15A addresses the functions and duties of public officials under the village manager form of government for the village of Amerenik, and that the role of the mayor described under village law section 4400 does not apply. In other words, we're seeking to confirm that none of the provisions of 4400 apply to the village of Amerenik unless they are specifically described in Article 15A. That's the request to the...
Yeah, and I suggested the request made, though this was an email to Dave, from Dave to me, I said it should be before the board at the work session to enable me to follow
That would be nice,
request.
but it would be nice to get it ahead of time to read it and look at it and research it.
I thought that anything that was sent to Charlie, as a board member, we were supposed to copy all the other board members.
That's
Did we
correct.
agree on that?
Yes, we did.
That was Leon's thing.
Yes.
Well, in any event, I have not acted on it. I told Dave that I wanted to come before the board.
I would like a copy
Get the authority
and
from the board to
do it.
act upon
I would like to carry over to the next work session and have a chance to look at it.
Well,
For the area cited and so on.
Let's check the procedures as to whether that's necessary, but because you think
I'm not saying necessary, I'll tell you what I would like, that's all.
Okay, fine.
so I'd like to proceed with it.
Right.
And to the extent that you want to make
Did
modifications.
you get a copy of this, the receipt? Do you know
I
what,
just heard what
you know what the citations are? Or is it a request?
15A and 4400, something we talked about in the
That's
past.
it. You can't, well, it doesn't matter. I'll do my own research when it's there. But I would request,
I mean, there's the first
I don't know what,
point.
I know you have a continuing vendetta that you want to go either on a personal or, excuse me, I'm speaking, or you'd like to destroy the office of mayor, whether it be me or any mayor in the future. I think that it's petty politics. I think that you are continuing your obvious attack. I think it's petty, and I think it's silly, and it reflects very poorly on the village of Amerenik.
Actually,
I think, excuse me, I'm still talking.
Okay.
Follow your own rules.
No, I'm
I think-
tell me when
I
you're
think-
please.
The president.
I believe that you should follow your own rules, which was just noted that perhaps everyone should be copied first. We have been copied first. I happen to believe that the actions that's proposed, even though you're going to ask that question from the village attorney going to the attorney general, I think that you are treading on some interesting violations of the New York State Constitution and the New York State Village Law and municipal law in itself.
And that's what we'll learn.
But I would at least like to have the opportunity, if it's not too much for you guys, to just continue your hatchet job, but at least with the ability for us to look at it before you do it. I can't make a comment to that because I haven't had a chance to review to look at it. Other than the fact that, you're violating your own policies of giving everybody notice ahead of time. But obviously that policy doesn't matter anymore. So I guess that's wide open.
I mean,
Nobody has to do anything, and you can do whatever you want.
Are you finished? Okay. One thing we know, Mayor, is that you will fight tooth and nail to preserve these very undemocratic powers. You either do have the powers or don't have the powers. We're going to ask to the degree that with our counsel, we go to the Attorney General to see whether you do indeed have these powers. To the degree that you do have the powers, the second half of the question is, what has to be done to take away those undemocratic powers which are invested in one person, which allows him to do things unilaterally. You're the one who's continually talking about the wonders of democracy, which you're going to fight tooth and nail to make sure that these powers are not exercised democratically.
Well, your description itself is fallacious in the fact that your description that it's undemocratic is ridiculous, because the current powers are based on New York State law, New York State Constitution, and municipal law and village law. They have been in power and in effect for the past 30 or 40 years, when the majority of the mayors, in fact, were even Democrat. So I find it, you just proved the point that you're more interested in going after and continuing the petty politics of attacking parking spaces and offices, and the fact that the reality is you're not mayor, and that's what ticks you off. Even though some of the board members have tried to get a nomination for mayor.
I have no interest in being mayor, I can assure you.
I know. Well, that's good, because it'll never happen.
No, I hope not. But the point here is that this is a legal process. Things that you say have been around for 30 years, but in fact, it seems as though for 30 years we have not really understood the implications of that 1915 law, and we're asking to have clarification. That's all. And I know
You're certainly entitled to do it. All I'm asking for is you read a statement, and I'm saying have the common courtesy of whether I'm fighting for it or against it, presuming I'm against it, depending on office of mayor. Let me look at it so I can make comments and suggestions also to the village attorney. So when he writes the letter, he can include all the different opinions or questions. I may have a question too I want to add to it.
Mayor, you bring full-blown resolutions out in public hearing without any prior notice. So, let's
We're not talking about a resolution. We're talking about what you just read. That's all we're talking about. It's very narrow. You want to ask for an opinion, you don't want to give common courtesy, that's fine. It's good for the goose, good for the gander.
Exactly. And that's why it's being done that.
Okay, so do you need anything from Charlie? Do you need to vote?
Well,
To proceed?
I think I want authorization of the board, but what I would like to do, I think, is
So you'll first give us feedback.
circulate this to everybody.
Right.
And as I understand this correctly, if I'm wrong, I'm going to first research this issue, and I'm going to come back to the board
Right.
and discuss it with the board before I seek any Attorney General's opinion.
I would like a
because
copy of that.
There may not be a reason to seek
Right.
Attorney General.
Correct.
So it's two-part. I'm not going to do anything with Albany until the board has my opinion before it.
Correct. Okay.
Well, you're looking for consensus, it's going to be 3-2, obviously. Maybe not, I don't know. What's the consensus? Obviously, David and Leon said so.
Moving ahead.
Melissa, you have a comment?
I would like Charlie to look at the law. I mean, nobody died on this issue, but, we're not coming out and saying that, we're gonna hold off on placing somebody, in a position until after the next mayoral election. We're just looking to understand what the law is, right? This isn't a Scalia issue, and we're just trying to understand what's going on here.
And then we'll decide whether to proceed with the letter to the AG. Okay? So,
Sorry, note that the consensus is 3-2,
okay.
for the record.